So, the UK government is rolling out a plan that could completely change how you prove who you are. We're talking about a new National Digital ID. The big question is this a leap into a super convenient future, or is it a step towards a society where our every move is tracked? Let's break it all down.
Just imagine this for a second. You land a new job. You're excited to start. But instead of digging out your passport, you're told to just use an app on your phone. But what if you don't have that app? Or maybe you don't even have a smartphone? Well, you can't get the job. This isn't some sci-fi movie plot. It's the reality of a new government proposal that's going to affect pretty much every single working adult in the UK.
And to really get to grips with what this means in the real world, especially for businesses and their employees, we've gotten insights from the experts at Pro Tax Accountant. These folks are on the front lines, dealing with UK tax and business compliance every single day.
Okay, so what is this plan really? You might have heard it nicknamed the Brit card. Let's cut through the noise and look at what the government is actually putting on the table.
First things first, what even is a digital ID? Well, in simple terms, it's a verified digital version of you. So, instead of a wallet stuffed with plastic cards and bits of paper, you'd have one secure thing on your phone that proves you are who you say you are, whether you're online or standing in a bank.
So, where would this ID actually live? The plan is to create an app called the gov.uk wallet. It would hold your new digital ID, and maybe even a digital driving license down the line. This basically puts your entire identity right there in your pocket, on the one device that most of us never leave home without.
Now, the government is making some big promises here. They're saying it'll be free for all legal residents and it'll only hold the basics, your name, photo, that kind of thing. They also say there won't be one giant central database and that the police can't just demand to see it, but, and this is the absolute crucial point, it will be mandatory for one thing: proving you have the legal right to work in the UK.
So you're probably wondering, why is the government pushing this so hard? Well, they're selling it on three big promises: more convenience for you, better security for your data, and more control over your personal info. Let's see how that's all supposed to play out. The vision they're painting is a future with a whole lot less paperwork. You know that hassle of finding your passport, a recent council tax bill, and your birth certificate just to open a simple bank account? Well, imagine just tapping your phone instead. It would mean one secure ID for pretty much everything, instant verification, and you'd stop having to hand over photocopies of your most sensitive documents, which, in theory, should cut down on identity fraud.
All right, let's bring this down to earth with a pro tip for employers. Meet Maria. She runs a small bakery in London. Right now, when she wants to hire a new baker, she has to wade through a mountain of paperwork to check their right to work. With this new system, that whole process could become a simple, instant digital scan. That would solve a massive compliance headache for small business owners just like her.
And believe me, that compliance headache comes with a very scary number attached. An employer like Maria could face a fine of up to £45,000 if she gets those right-to-work checks wrong. This is really the heart of why the government is so focused on employment. They're arguing that a mandatory digital check is the strongest way to crack down on illegal working.
But this promise of convenience and control comes with some major concerns. The whole proposal has sparked a huge public backlash, and it's so important to understand why. Stay with me here, because this is where the debate gets really intense.
We're not talking about a small fringe issue. Over 2.9 million people have signed a parliamentary petition against a mandatory digital ID. That number is just staggering, and it really shows you the depth of public anxiety about this whole plan.
Civil liberties groups like Big Brother Watch have been some of the loudest critics. Their main argument is that this isn't just a new piece of technology. They say it represents a fundamental shift in the relationship between you and the state, where, for the very first time, you might be required to have a government-approved digital identity just to earn a living.
This right here gets to the absolute heart of the debate. On one side, the government is promising a secure, decentralized system where you are in the driver's seat. But on the other side, critics are terrified that linking everything to one unique ID creates what they call a honeypot for hackers, and worse, a powerful new tool for state surveillance. Campaigners have really honed in on four major risks. First, digital exclusion. What happens to the 2.1 million adults in the UK who aren't online? Are they just locked out of the workforce? Second, there's this idea of function creep. Sure, it might be just for work now, but what's to stop it from being required for healthcare later, or for benefits, or travel? Third is that big fear of surveillance. And finally, what about errors and abuse? What happens if your data is wrong? Or even scarier, what if an abusive partner controls your phone and by extension controls your entire identity?
You know, the UK isn't the first country to try and figure this out. So what can we learn from how other nations have handled digital ID? It's worth taking a look.
What's crystal clear when you look abroad is that the design of the system is absolutely everything. In Estonia, they have a mandatory but decentralized system that people actually trust. They see it as empowering. Now contrast that with India, where a centralized biometric system has been hit by massive data breaches. And then you have the EU, which is now going for a wallet model that's all about user control. It shows the UK has a huge choice to make. Do you build this for the state, or do you build it for the citizen?
And all of this brings the UK to a really critical crossroads. The government says it's going to consult on the final design, but the fundamental debate is already raging, as you can see. So in the end, it all boils down to this one question. Is this new digital ID the key that's going to unlock a more efficient, secure, and convenient digital life for all of us? Or is it the first step towards a checkpoint society where our freedom to live and work depends on a government-controlled app? The answer is going to shape the future of privacy and what it means to be a citizen in the UK.
Now, it's really important to remember that what we've talked about today is a general overview of a very complex and evolving topic. It is not financial or legal advice, so please don't use it to make any final business decisions.
So before making any big decisions, especially if you're an employer trying to navigate all these right-to-work compliance rules, it is absolutely essential that you consult with the experts. For specific advice that's tailored to your exact situation, you can get in touch with the team at ProTax Accountant.
We've put their contact information up on the screen for you. You can reach them on WhatsApp, by phone, or send them an email. Thanks so much for joining us for this breakdown.